Hey y'all, it's Jacqueline at Pixie Dust PhD. I recently returned from a short trip down to Walt Disney World in September 2024. I did have one day at Epcot, so one day at the International Food and Wine Festival. My partner did not tag along, so I was on my own in terms of stomach space, so I didn't get to sample dozens of items by any means. But I think I did pretty well for myself. And this festival runs through November 23rd, so I wanted to let you all know my opinions in case it's relevant for an upcoming trip of yours. Now, this is all very subjective, and day to day, maybe even hour to hour, the quality is going to vary. Keep that in mind, just because I didn't love something doesn't mean you won't. I'm only providing my singular perspective here. I started off the day pretty close to 11 a.m. at the Earth Eats booth near the Land Pavilion. I had my eyes on the red wine braised beef short rib. It comes with a goat cheese polenta, puttanesca sauce, shaved pecorino, and petite herbs. This dish was perfect. The goat cheese added some tang without being overly funky or pungent. The pecorino has that sharpness to it that helps offset the fattiness of the beef. And at least in my bowl, they gave me some pretty generous hunks of pecorino. The puttanesca had a little brightness to it. It cut so easily and beautifully, was a perfectly braised piece of meat. Bites with everything in one were so balanced. This was $8.50, so on the expensive side. But the quality and flavors were so worth it. 10 out of 10 for me. I would eat this again if I was coming back to the festival. An absolute hit. Next, the group hit up Brewing Lab at the Odyssey. I skipped food here and just went for a small pour of the Keel Farms Elderberry Serrano Hard Cider for $5.75. It was sweet with a bit of spice on the back end. I really enjoyed it, probably 8 out of 10 for me. I got 3 items at Bramblewood Bites. The cast iron roasted Brussels sprouts and root vegetables, the grilled cider brined pork tenderloin with fennel apple slaw and apple cider gastrique, and the gogi Pinot Noir. This was an extremely varied experience. The pork was overcooked. It was dry. It wasn't bone dry, it was still edible. But it was not good. Had it been cooked properly, the flavors were there. I could see giving it a 7. But for the exact one I ate, that's a 4 out of 10, and that cost $6.75. The wine, I like a Pinot Noir, and this is an Epcot festival, so I knew it would be a small pour. They also had clearly semi-chilled it, which considering how hot outside it was, that was great, that's how it should be. However, this tasted like a watered down, maybe $9 glass of Pinot Noir. It was just not very good, it was tiny, and it was $16. Would absolutely not recommend you get that. 2 out of 10, simply because it is still wine. But those Brussels sprouts and other root vegetables for $5? Oh goodness. They were fantastic. I think there was some squash, some carrots, and then a white root vegetable, maybe parsnips. The cranberries added a little bit of sourness, and the candied pecans gave it a hint of sweetness. I don't know what they put on that side dish, but it was so well flavored. Herbaceous almost, but balanced out with a sweet and salty vibe. This was so good. 10 out of 10 for me, would absolutely get it again in a heartbeat. A friend wanted to stop at the China Pavilion booth, so naturally I grabbed a drink. I went with the Baijiu Punch for $14.50. This has lychee syrup and pina colada mix, 2 flavors I enjoy. And yes, this was good, light, and refreshing. Nothing wrong with it, I just know that there are better options, a 6 out of 10 for me. Thankfully, someone in my group wanted to split the fake Zebra Dome, which I knew would be too much for me to eat by myself, and I was trying to avoid food waste. And weirdly, no one in my small group walking around had had a proper Zebra Dome before. This is the Chocolate Amarula Mousse Cake from Refreshment Outpost for $6.25. If you've never had Amarula before, the closest common comparator would maybe be a lighter and slightly fruitier Baileys. It has notes of vanilla, hazelnut, toasted sugar almost, and a little bit of orange to me. For me, a proper Zebra Dome has more of that Amarula flavor than this Food and Wine white chocolate version. This one leaned more into the chocolate taste. But it was still so good, and my friend was like wide-eyed, he loved it so much. We easily split this between us. Because I've had a real Zebra Dome, I would put this at a 7 out of 10. But if you have not had a Zebra Dome before and you like chocolate, I could easily see this being a 9 out of 10. I stopped in at the Japan booth to grab the Wagyu Tamaki sushi for $9.50. Obviously, it's not real Japanese Wagyu, but that's fine. Flavors were on point. A bit of spiciness from the mayo, acid from the pickles, savory beef, and the rice was well prepared. The nori wrapper seemed incorrect though. It was so thin and falling apart. I had to eat most of my tamaki, which is supposed to be a hand roll, with a fork. For me, a 7 out of 10. I'd eat it again, but I wouldn't go out of my way for it, and I do think execution leaves room for improvement and it's priced a bit high. Sadly, I skipped India out of stomach space concerns, but I'm sure it was great as it always is. Next was Belgium, and this was probably my most anticipated of the day. They had a beer braised beef with smoked Gouda mashed potatoes for $6.25. It was, unfortunately, like elevated dog food. The mashed potato was really good, but otherwise it was a very sad beef stew. The beef chunks were so dry and overcooked, honestly, was hard to eat. And there was just so much flavorless gravy. It looked nothing like the picture. It was slop. I ate the beef and the vegetables, I ate the mashed potatoes, and I threw the rest out. 0 out of 10, absolutely cannot recommend. But then we moved on to France, where I got the beef bourguignon for $7.95 and the frozen French Cosmo for $14.95. Compared to Belgium, this was a huge step up for the beef. But if you have access to good beef bourguignon at home, I think you can skip it. The little potatoes in it were fantastic though, a 5 out of 10 for me. The frozen French Cosmo didn't stay frozen for long, but it did hit the spot. Nothing complicated, innovative, or fussy, you know exactly what you're getting. That's a 6 out of 10 for me. Pre-Luminous, I shared the pumpkin mascarpone ravioli with a friend. These are from Forest and Field, over between the Imagination Pavilion and that entrance to World Showcase, and cost $5.25. You get 3 raviolis. These definitely had a hint of sweetness, but it wasn't overwhelming, and the fall spices were there, but again, it wasn't too much. I didn't get as much sage flavor from the sage brown butter as I would have wanted, honestly, but it was still good. 7 out of 10 for me. And I wrapped up my night with a pumpkin spice mule from Refreshment Port near the Canada Pavilion for $12. It did come in a little fake not copper mule cup, which I thought was cute. It tasted exactly how you think it will, so sweet fall flavors. But at $12, this might be one of the better drink deals at the festival. I'd give it a solid 7 out of 10, so long as you are in the mood for pumpkin spice. And this was great to enjoy with the nighttime spectacular. Again, due to me being there for only a day and limited stomach space, there were regrettably some items I didn't have. Skipped the entire India booth, skipped the entire Morocco booth, didn't have the griddled cheese from Greece. I also thought about going to the fry basket for some yucca fries, but I did have a couple yucca fries the day before, so decided again, it just wasn't worth the stomach space. But from the items I did have, I would classify 2 as absolute must-haves. The braised beef from Earth Eats blew my mind, as did the Brussels sprouts and other root vegetables from Bramblewood Bites. If I was spending, say, more than a week down at Walt Disney World and had multiple Epcot entrances, I would definitely get these again. If I lived down there and was going more frequently, again, I would get these again. They were so good. Other items I might get again, but maybe aren't must-haves, are that elderberry serrano cider I did really enjoy, as well as the Amarella mousse cake or the fake zebra dome. It's such a nice treat to be able to get something pretty close to a zebra dome outside of the Animal Kingdom Lodge. Next, I would say that the grilled pork tenderloin at Bramblewood Bites is maybe worth another try. I do think the flavors were there, the execution was just poor, they just super overcooked the pork. But if you got a piece of pork that wasn't really overcooked, I could see this being great, so I would maybe give it another shot. Then there's a ton of other stuff that I ate that I enjoyed and I'm not mad that I got, but I don't necessarily think they're worth revisiting, for me personally. And the absolute avoids, cannot recommend these at all, are the braised beef from Belgium. It was very bad beef stew. I guess the potato underneath it was good, but there's plenty of great potatoes on property. And then that Pinot Noir. Specifically, I got that Pinot Noir from Bramblewood Bites, but it might be on other menus, so just keep your eyes out for it. I'm not a wine snob by any means, but it really did taste just so watered down and sad. I just can't recommend it. In general, looking through the list, I was kind of disappointed in the drinks offering this year. I didn't go crazy with drinks. Obviously, I didn't get a drink at every booth I stopped at, so maybe there are some hidden gems that I just am unaware of. But for me, overall, drinks was a little bit disappointing. Which then makes that fun cider and the pumpkin spice mule look all the much better. Not featured in this video, but I did stop at La Cava del Tequila, and those were the best drinks I had easily. I would always recommend squeezing in a stop at La Cava del Tequila if you can. All in all, I ate a lot of beef, I had a pretty good time, and I spent probably too much money. But I was with a big group of friends, we split off into different, smaller groups at times. It was a really nice day just walking around, doing food and wine. If you've had any of these dishes, I would love to hear your opinions in the comments down below. I'm particularly very curious if I was just there for a super off batch for the beef at Belgium. If you're headed down to Epcot before the Food and Wine Festival ends, let me know what you are looking forward to most. And if you're skipping out this year, what are the items you think you might try if you were headed down? Thanks for watching. I appreciate your support of the channel. Don't forget to like the video by hitting that thumbs up button down below. You can also subscribe to the channel. Once you're subscribed, you can ring that bell icon to receive a notification whenever I upload new videos. I will be posting more about this trip as time goes on, and I am still currently posting videos from my last trip if you're interested in other vlogs and more Walt Disney World food content. And let me know in the comments down below if you would appreciate repeating this content but in a blog format. I do post text blogs over on my Ko-fi, and big shout out to Judy, who is a monthly supporter on my Ko-fi. I'm happy to cross-post if that would be useful to you, but I definitely want to hear your opinions. Thank you again, and may the rest of your day be magical. We'll see you real soon at Pixie Dust PhD.